What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Not Everything That Is Bad is Bad. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we are going to be talking about the Portland Trailblazers because I think the Portland Trailblazers are going to be a fun, bad team this season. Every so often, we encounter a team that, on paper, does not project to amass many wins throughout the season, but regardless of that, they have a neat young core and a young core that is full of talent and potential. This year, that is the Portland Trailblazers. I don't expect this team to have a Cinderella run like the Oklahoma City Thunder had a couple years ago, where they went 42 and 40 and greatly exceeded their over/under expectations. I anticipate the Blazers being alongside the Brooklyn Nets in one of the teams that is going to be contending for Cooper Flag. Although, with the way the Wizards have been playing, I'm not sure that either of those two teams can be confident in their chances. But kind of similar, but more so than the Brooklyn Nets, they have a bunch of young guys who are going to be fun to watch and I think are going to show meaningful signs in their development. I'm going to start with Scoot Henderson because he's the franchise cornerstone. And he was a rookie who did not have the greatest showing throughout his rookie season. He earned the nickname Toot Henderson because overall, he was just not that great, averaging just 14 points and shooting below 40% from the field, including a sparkling 32.5% from three. But there is something crucial about Scoot Henderson, and it's that the more comfortable he got, the more he played, the more reps he got, the more comfortable he seemed to maybe not be the point guard of the future for this team, but definitely one of the guys that this team can build around. Over his final 15 games, over the final 15 games to close out the season, he averaged 18 points and 7.5 assists while shooting 39% from three. There are still, of course, issues with his game, but these issues are nothing extraordinary. They're pretty common mistakes that young players encounter. That comes down to efficiency in both shooting and efficiency in playmaking. Overall, over those 15 games that I just mentioned, he did shoot 41.5% from the field and averaged about 5 turnovers per game, but that's fine, right? If you have a young player who you're looking to build around and you're in a position like the Portland Trail Blazers where you're not contending for anything, it's okay that he goes out and he makes these mistakes because it means that he's getting put into positions in which he can learn from. Chauncey Billups and the other coaches can sit down with him in the film room and pick out, okay, this is what you did great against the Phoenix Suns. You did a great job of getting downhill, of not settling for contested jumpers, of putting your body onto the defenders. However, this pass wasn't open. Next time you're in a situation like this, go up for a reverse layup instead of trying to kick it to the corner, whatever the situation may be. But there were promising signs from Scoot Henderson. And I think that's great because whenever you have a high lottery pick, there are expectations that come along with that. Not every lottery pick is going to be Wemby. Obviously, not, some lottery picks may turn out to be more Ben Simmons than Victor Wembanyama. And that's no shade to Ben Simmons, but we know that there's an expectation when it comes to being one of the first guys picked off the board in whatever draft. I do think that Scoot Henderson has a very strong sophomore season. I do also, however, think that is going to take a little bit longer for him to reach his ceiling. I think that this is also going to be another developmental year just because for all of the requisite skills he may have, he is still a little undersized and he's not the most overwhelming athlete, but regardless, I think that he is a fantastic foundational piece for Portland. And they have a bunch of other guys who fit this role as well. I'm looking at Shaden Sharp, who before suffering that abdominal injury last season was averaging like 15 points per game, brings tremendous athleticism to transition, to half court offense as well. His improved abilities as a slasher, him being capable to use every inch of that 6'6" frame to go over his defenders. He's not going to be healthy to start this season. He's recovering from shoulder surgery, and I think the timeline is 4 to 6 weeks as of October 5th. So he should be ready to go around Thanksgiving. Maybe they push him back to the beginning of December. But he's another terrific young piece that Portland has added. I do want to note something. This roster has 9 guys born after 2000. 9. That's 45% of the roster. Not only does this make me feel old, but there is so much untapped potential that this team is working with, especially when you consider the guys who are going to be key to the long-term development of this team. The most tenured guy on this roster is Jeremy Grant, who I love. Jeremy Grant, I think he is a very, very fine player. He is the veteran presence in this locker room as a now 30-year-old with 10 years of experience. Beyond that, you have a couple of guys who have 5, 6 years. That is Devontae Graham, Matisse Thybulle, guys who are impactful in certain ways, but their development is tapped out, right? Matisse Thybulle is not becoming anything significantly better than what he is now. But it's okay because all of these guys on this team, all of these veteran presences, are not in a position to take possessions away from the young guys. Another youthful addition is Deni Avdia, whose basketball skills are better than whatever his views on Israeli foreign policy are. I did do a video on him. I forgot when exactly, but it basically just talked about what his potential is, and I think that he is a legitimate number 3 guy on a championship team. He's coming off his best campaign, averaging just a shade under 15 points. He is a legitimately well-rounded scorer, a guy who in a pinch can give you 8, 9, 10 points. He shot 50% from the field and 37% from 3, which was a marked improvement not only for his career but from the season before that, where he was a sub 30% shooter. He's also a terrific rebounder, and this is key because when you have guards and wings who can rebound, transition can start earlier, right? You're not reliant on DeAndre Ayton or Robert Williams to haul in the rebound, turn, look, outlet. No, Deni Avdia can get it and go. Shaden Sharp can get it and go. Jabari Walker, who we'll talk about in a little bit, can get it and go. And you have a lot of youth and athleticism on this team. I'm stressing the youth because it is a tremendous luxury to have so many developmental options, but the athleticism is also staggering. And when you can get out and play fast and play in transition, it opens up easy baskets. And easy baskets are huge for young players because it is a tremendous confidence booster, right? I think one of the things that plagued Scoot early on in his career was that he was a little discouraged. There were 2 different versions of Scoot Henderson as a rookie. Looking at him early on in the season, there was no confidence in his dribble. There was no confidence that he can beat anybody off the dribble. But later on, he realized that he deserves to be in the NBA and that he is a very, very good young player. That mental shift alone is huge. Some guys come into this league and they know that they got that dog in them, and others don't, and they need a little bit of a support circle to help reach them, to help them reach that spot. And I think that goes not only to the other players on the team for still having belief in this young man, but also the coaching staff, right? Those guys are influential to players, to helping players reach their ceiling. If you're down in the dumps about your performance and you have a coach that's just going to spit on you and call you a loser, you're not going to want to play for them, and your performance is going to reflect that. So I do think that Portland is in a very good spot when you consider Scoot, Shaden Sharp, Deni Avdia. They also acquired Robert Williams this offseason, who, if he is able to stay healthy, is a tremendously impactful defender. Everybody knows this. He is a premier shot blocker. He was an anchor for the Boston Celtics, who year over year are one of, if not the best teams in the NBA. He's able to reject and alter so many shots from a wide array of angles. He really locks down the paint. He is a tremendous defensive asset, and a young team needs that. They need a experienced defensive anchor, which Robert Williams is. He is on the younger side. How old is he? He's like 26. To actually his birthday today. No, it's his birthday tomorrow. Yeah. When I'm filming this, it's his birthday tomorrow. So he'll be 27. He has experience. Again, a former all defensive selection. Portland was like 29th in defensive efficiency last season. They need a guy like him. He's going to make a palpable impact I do want to see how him and DeAndre Ayton coexist. I think that is going to be very fascinating. I do also like DeAndre Ayton. I feel like I've liked DeAndre Ayton more than the broader NBA community. Obviously, this is not a guy who is producing statistically at where he was drafted first overall back in 2018, but he is still a good quality center, probably one who is a little overpaid, but who gives a fuck, right? You're the Portland Trailblazers. No one is coming to play for your team right now, right? There are no marquee free agents who want to come be the guy on a team that's going to win 22 games maybe. They don't want that. So give that money to DeAndre Ayton, help build a quality foundation, and at least you know you're going to get reliable production from this guy. Say what you will about him, he has been remarkably consistent throughout his career. Not one of his 6 campaigns have varied much statistically. His rookie season averaged 16 points. The most he's averaged after that is 18, and the lowest is 14. He is a very reliable interior scorer, obviously not a voluminous interior scorer. He's a great rebounder. He's just a quality center, right? He does have some deficiencies defensively, but I think if Ayton is going to be the starter, Williams is going to be the backup to him, at least to begin these games. And then the flow of the game will dictate which center sees more time. If there isn't a lot of offense, Robert Williams will see more minutes. I do think that there will be a relatively even split between their minutes because neither guy has been a particular workhorse throughout their season. And then, of course, there are the injury concerns with Robert Williams as well. I have once again made it 15 minutes into a video without mentioning arguably the best player on this team. This is seemingly becoming a thing for me where I just forget about certain key guys for teams. But Anthony Simons, he is obviously going to be huge for this team. Kind of CJ McCollum esque, I feel like, is coming off the best season of his career, the 2 best seasons of his career, 23 points. He did also operate kind of as the point guard for this team, averaging 5.5 assists, but he is a natural 2 guard, and I think there is going to be a little bit more of a shift for Scoot Henderson to play point. But Anthony Simons is a tremendous luxury. He's also only 25 years old. So realistically, he is a guy who in 3 years can still be a not only an integral member of this team, but if they do ever reach contention status, he will be probably the best player on this team. I feel like this season is going to be huge for him. That 24, 25, 26 area is really where players' ceilings are reached, right? If Simons is able to become like a 25, 26 point per game guy, like, and also someone, a high volume scorer who's able to shoot 47% from the field and 38% from three, you have your backcourt. Simons and Henderson are 2 really good players. And I think that 2, 3 years down the line, when they're legitimate playoff contenders, like middle tier playoff contenders, that is going to be the attraction for the free agent. That is what happened with the Brooklyn Nets when they signed KD and Kyrie. Obviously, different circumstances, right? Really, none of the players who helped the Nets reach that point were there with them. But you have to prove to the superstars that you're worthy of their talents. And that's really what team building is all about. It's about laying a solid foundation, not only just finding stars and potentially even superstars, but also having young guys who are content with playing a specific role. A guy like Denny Avdia, a guy like Jabari Walker, who per 100 possessions for this team last season averaged 18.5 points and 15 rebounds, right? Having a presence on the wing. Like, I don't know, does Jabari Walker become another iteration of Naz Reid? Probably not. But those are the kinds of questions that you can begin to ask yourself as a front office, as a coaching staff, looking at all of these players and figuring out how to best tweak their games so that way they fit into what you're building. But Portland is in a tremendous spot. I feel like going forward, I do think this season they're going to be among the bottom feeders in the Western Conference and also in the NBA. They are bound for another high lottery pick, which is fine, but I think they're going to be fun. Portland is a tremendous basketball city. The fan base is electric. They love their Blazers, and I think this squad gives them a lot to root for, which as a fan, when your team is ass, that's really all you want is to have a reason to turn on the TV, you know, every other night. Overall, just a lot of pleasant things to look forward to in the Pacific Northwest. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video. I thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do any of those three things, you will become my new favorite person. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.